The first days of the investigation were a whirlwind of activity and chaos. Every news outlet had picked up the story, and Lauren was thrust into the spotlight in a way I had never imagined. Her face appeared on the front pages, and the relentless barrage of questions from journalists only heightened her anxiety. I could see the toll it was taking on her. Once confident and composed, Lauren now looked over her shoulder at every turn, her eyes darting nervously. It broke my heart to watch her unravel, but I couldn't afford to let my emotions get in the way. I had to focus on damage control and finding a way out of this mess. The more the investigation progressed, the more I felt the walls closing in. The media was scrutinizing every detail of the scandal, and public opinion was turning against me. The false documents I had crafted were being dissected, and the discrepancies were becoming glaringly obvious. I had hoped to bury John Hart's career, but now it seemed my own was at risk. Late one night, as I reviewed the latest headlines and watched the news reports, a sinking feeling settled in my gut. The evidence I had planted was starting to unravel, and the authorities were closing in on the truth. I needed to act quickly, but what could I do when the very fabric of my plan was falling apart? The situation took a darker turn when federal investigators showed up at our doorstep. They were thorough and unyielding, questioning Lauren and going through our personal records. Each interaction seemed like a relentless probe into our lives. Lauren's stress was palpable, and I could see her struggling to maintain her composure. I was both desperate and determined to keep her from breaking down. In the midst of this turmoil, I decided to confront John Hart directly. If anyone could understand the depths of my betrayal, it would be him. I arranged a meeting under the guise of a truce, hoping to extract some advantage from the situation. The encounter was fraught with tension. John was composed, his demeanor cool and detached. "I should have known you'd stoop to this," he said, his voice low but edged with satisfaction. "But it seems your plan has backfired, and now you're in deeper trouble than I am." His words were a harsh reminder of how far I had fallen. I tried to maintain a facade of control, but inside, I was struggling to keep it together. The reality of my situation was sinking in, the lies were catching up with me, and the consequences were spiraling out of control. The more the investigation uncovered, the more desperate I became. I began to fear that Lauren, despite her innocence in this tangled mess, would pay the ultimate price. The strain on our relationship was immense, and the guilt was gnawing at me. I had started this war of vengeance with the intention of protecting my career and punishing John, but now it felt like I was tearing apart the very fabric of my life. Lauren and I barely spoke anymore. Our conversations, when they happened, were terse and filled with unspoken accusations. I tried to reassure her, but the reality was that we were in over our heads. The investigation was relentless, and the walls of deception were crumbling. I had to find a way out before the final blow was struck, but the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty and dread. The first days of the investigation were a whirlwind of activity and chaos. Every news outlet had picked up the story, and Lauren was thrust into the spotlight in a way I had never imagined. Her face appeared on the front pages, and the relentless barrage of questions from journalists only heightened her anxiety. I could see the toll it was taking on her. Once confident and composed, Lauren now looked over her shoulder at every turn, her eyes darting nervously. It broke my heart to watch her unravel, but I couldn't afford to let my emotions get in the way. I had to focus on damage control and finding a way out of this mess. The more the investigation progressed, the more I felt the walls closing in. The media was scrutinizing every detail of the scandal, and public opinion was turning against me. The false documents I had crafted were being dissected, and the discrepancies were becoming glaringly obvious. I had hoped to bury John Hart's career, but now it seemed my own was at risk. Late one night, as I reviewed the latest headlines and watched the news reports, a sinking feeling settled in my gut. The evidence I had planted was starting to unravel, and the authorities were closing in on the truth. I needed to act quickly, but what could I do when the very fabric of my plan was falling apart? The situation took a darker turn when federal investigators showed up at our doorstep. They were thorough and unyielding, questioning Lauren and going through our personal records. Each interaction seemed like a relentless probe into our lives. Lauren's stress was palpable, and I could see her struggling to maintain her composure. I was both desperate and determined to keep her from breaking down. In the midst of this turmoil, I decided to confront John Hart directly. If anyone could understand the depths of my betrayal, it would be him. I arranged a meeting under the guise of a truce, hoping to extract some advantage from the situation. The encounter was fraught with tension. John was composed, his demeanor cool and detached. "I should have known you'd stoop to this," he said, his voice low but edged with satisfaction. "But it seems your plan has backfired, and now you're in deeper trouble than I am." His words were a harsh reminder of how far I had fallen. I tried to maintain a facade of control, but inside, I was struggling to keep it together. The reality of my situation was sinking in. The lies were catching up with me, and the consequences were spiraling out of control. The more the investigation uncovered, the more desperate I became. I began to fear that Lauren, despite her innocence in this tangled mess, would pay the ultimate price. The strain on our relationship was immense, and the guilt was gnawing at me. I had started this war of vengeance with the intention of protecting my career and punishing John, but now it felt like I was tearing apart the very fabric of my life. Lauren and I barely spoke anymore. Our conversations, when they happened, were terse and filled with unspoken accusations. I tried to reassure her, but the reality was that we were in over our heads. The investigation was relentless, and the walls of deception were crumbling. I had to find a way out before the final blow was struck, but the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty and dread. Walking into the investigation headquarters felt like stepping into the eye of a storm. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and every glance from the officials was heavy with judgment. Lauren and I exchanged a last, fleeting look of support before we were led into the meeting room. The air was tense, the walls seemed to close in, and the reality of our situation weighed heavily on my shoulders. The lead investigator, a stern woman with sharp eyes, began the questioning. Her tone was methodical and unyielding, and her questions cut straight to the core of the matter. I had prepared myself for this, but the sheer intensity of the moment was overwhelming. I needed to be truthful to mitigate the fallout, but the fear of further incrimination gnawed at me. As I recounted the details of how the documents were forged and the motives behind the deception, I could see the disbelief and anger in the eyes of the investigators. Lauren sat beside me, her face a mask of stoic resolve. I could feel her support, but I knew this confession would not erase the damage done. The meeting dragged on, with the investigators scrutinizing every detail of my confession. I presented all the evidence I had, hoping to show some degree of cooperation. Despite my efforts to be transparent, the room remained tense, and the implications of my actions seemed to grow heavier with each passing minute. When the meeting concluded, I was left with a mix of relief and dread. I had come clean, but the road ahead was uncertain. The investigators were adamant that my confession would lead to serious consequences, and I could see the mounting strain on Lauren's face as the reality of our predicament sank in. Over the next few days, the fallout was swift and brutal. The media frenzy reached a fever pitch, and every aspect of our lives was dissected in public. Our home was surrounded by reporters, and Lauren's every move was scrutinized. The public outrage was palpable, and I could see the toll it was taking on her. The stress and humiliation were unbearable. Lauren and I tried to hold on to some semblance of normalcy, but the weight of the scandal was unrelenting. The legal process had begun, and the prospect of potential charges loomed large. Every day brought new headlines and new twists in the story, and it felt like we were caught in an unending cycle of scandal and regret. I continued to cooperate with the authorities, hoping that my full disclosure might help lessen the repercussions. I met with lawyers and attempted to navigate the legal maze, but the damage to my career and personal life was already done. The investigation had turned into a media spectacle, and every move I made seemed to fuel the fire. Despite the chaos, I made an effort to support Lauren. We spent quiet moments together, away from the prying eyes of the press, trying to find solace in each other's company. It was a small comfort amid the storm, but I could see the strain etched into her features. Our relationship was strained to the breaking point, and the weight of my actions was becoming almost unbearable. The final blow came when the investigators released their findings to the public. The forged documents had been thoroughly exposed, and the full extent of the deception was laid bare. My career was in shambles, and the public's condemnation was harsh and unrelenting. The ultimate consequence of my actions had arrived, and the reality of our situation was stark and unforgiving. The days following the release of the investigation's findings were a blur of despair and turmoil. The fallout was immediate and brutal. My career was officially over, and the public scorn was palpable. The once loyal supporters who had stood by me now turned their backs. And every day seemed to bring a fresh wave of condemnation. Lauren and I were forced into isolation, avoiding public places and the ever-present media cameras. Our home, once a sanctuary, had become a prison of sorts. The media camped outside, relentless in their pursuit of any detail they could use to further their sensationalist narratives. Every phone call and knock at the door seemed like a reminder of our fall from grace. Despite the isolation, Lauren and I managed to find small moments of solace. We spent time together in the evenings, talking about everything and nothing, trying to reconnect amidst the chaos. These moments were fleeting but precious. Yet, the strain of our situation was undeniable. The scandal had fractured our relationship, and it was clear that the damage went beyond the public eye. One evening, as we sat in silence, Lauren finally broke the quiet. "What now?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Her question was not just about our future but about the shattered pieces of our lives. I didn't have a clear answer. The weight of the scandal and its impact on our lives was immense, and I was at a loss for how to rebuild from the wreckage. As the legal proceedings continued, the reality of our situation became even more apparent. The legal system was unforgiving, and the charges against me were serious. I had to face the consequences of my actions in court, and the prospect of potential jail time loomed large. Each court appearance was a reminder of how far I had fallen. And the legal battles seemed never-ending. Lauren's resilience was both a comfort and a burden. She was determined to support me through the trial, but I could see the toll it was taking on her. The stress of the proceedings, combined with the public scrutiny, was overwhelming. Our attempts to remain strong for each other felt increasingly strained. One night, after a particularly grueling day in court, Lauren and I sat together, trying to make sense of our shattered lives. I could see the pain and exhaustion in her eyes. And it became clear that our situation had pushed us to the brink. We were no longer the people we had once been, and the future seemed bleak and uncertain. Despite everything, I was determined to make amends. I reached out to those I had wronged, both personally and professionally, in an attempt to apologize and seek some form of redemption. The process was slow and painful, but it was the only way I knew to begin making things right. The ultimate reality was that the damage done was immense and far-reaching. My career was beyond repair, and the impact on our personal lives was devastating. The public's anger had shifted from scandal to apathy, and the support I once had was now a distant memory. As I faced the final stages of the legal process, I realized that the true cost of my actions was not just the loss of my career or the public scorn but the deep and irreparable harm done to my relationship with Lauren. The journey of redemption would be long and arduous, and the scars of this ordeal would remain with us for years to come. Lauren and I were left to navigate the aftermath of the scandal, trying to piece together what remained of our lives. The future was uncertain, and the path to recovery was fraught with challenges. The ultimate lesson of this ordeal was clear: actions have consequences, and the road to redemption is often the hardest path to travel. In the months following the scandal, the weight of our new reality began to sink in. Lauren and I had retreated into a semblance of normalcy, but the shadows of our past actions loomed large. The legal battles were taking their toll, and each court date was a reminder of the deep scars left by the deception. The media circus had faded, but the aftermath of our actions was far from over. Lauren and I found ourselves in a fragile routine, trying to navigate the wreckage of our lives. She had taken on a part-time job to help cover expenses, and I had been working with a counselor to address the emotional fallout from the scandal. The sessions were cathartic but also brought painful realizations about the depth of the damage we had caused. One afternoon, while I was going through the pile of unpaid bills that had accumulated, Lauren came to me with an unexpected proposal. "I've been thinking," she said, her tone cautious but determined. "We need to rebuild, not just our lives, but our relationship. We can't keep living in this limbo." Her words struck a chord. The constant stress and the remnants of public disgrace had created a chasm between us, and it was clear that we needed to make a conscious effort to bridge that gap. The idea of rebuilding wasn't just about financial recovery, it was about mending the broken trust and finding a new way forward. Lauren suggested that we start by engaging in community service. "It might not fix everything, but it's a step towards making amends," she reasoned. I was hesitant at first, feeling that our actions were beyond repair, but I knew we needed to do something, anything, to start healing. We began volunteering at a local nonprofit that focused on helping families affected by financial crises. The work was challenging but fulfilling. It provided a much-needed distraction from our troubles and a sense of purpose that had been missing for so long. Each day spent helping others was a reminder of the values we had once upheld and a small step towards atonement. The process of community service also allowed us to reconnect in a way that had felt impossible before. As we worked side by side, we shared stories, hopes, and fears. It was a slow and often painful process, but with each passing week, we began to understand each other better. The shared experience of giving back helped rebuild our sense of partnership and mutual respect. Despite our efforts, the scars of the scandal remained visible. Our financial situation was still precarious, and the legal proceedings continued to cast a shadow over our lives. The strain of living with the constant reminders of our past mistakes was wearing on both of us. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of volunteer work, Lauren and I sat down to talk. The conversation was raw and emotional. We discussed our fears about the future, the lingering resentment, and the possibility of finding some form of forgiveness, both from ourselves and from each other. "I know it's not going to be easy," Lauren said softly, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and hope. "But we have to try. We owe it to ourselves and to each other." Her words resonated deeply with me. The path to redemption and recovery was long and uncertain, but it was clear that we needed to face it together. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but there was a glimmer of hope that, despite everything, we could find a way to rebuild our lives and our relationship. As we faced the reality of our situation, it became evident that the road to healing was a marathon, not a sprint. We had made significant strides, but the journey was far from over. The ultimate challenge was to continue moving forward, finding strength in each other, and gradually piecing together the fragments of our shattered lives. The months rolled by in a haze of relentless effort and cautious optimism. Lauren and I were making incremental progress. Our routine of community service was now a steady part of our lives, providing a sense of normalcy and purpose. We had also started attending couples therapy, which helped us navigate the complex emotions and strained trust between us. Despite these small victories, our financial situation remained dire. The weight of our mounting debts and the ongoing legal fees were constant reminders of our predicament. Every day brought new financial concerns, and the fear of losing what little stability we had left was a constant undercurrent to our lives. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, Lauren received a phone call that shifted the ground beneath us. It was from an old friend who worked in the media. "I've been following your story," she said cautiously. "There's been some movement behind the scenes. I think you need to be aware of it." Lauren's face grew pale as she relayed the details. Apparently, there were rumors of a potential settlement or legal maneuver that could affect our case. The possibility of a resolution, or further complication, was both intriguing and alarming. It was a glimmer of hope but also a source of anxiety. The next few days were filled with tense anticipation. We consulted with our legal team, who confirmed that there were indeed discussions about a possible settlement. It could potentially alleviate some of our financial burdens and perhaps even help mitigate the ongoing damage to our reputations. However, the settlement also came with conditions and stipulations that were far from ideal. Lauren and I had to make a decision: accept the settlement, with its limitations, or continue fighting the legal battles, risking further financial and personal strain. The thought of prolonged legal battles and more media scrutiny was daunting, but the prospect of moving forward and finally putting some of our troubles behind us was tempting. We spent hours weighing the pros and cons, discussing the potential outcomes and how they would affect our lives. The decision was far from easy. We knew that accepting the settlement would mean acknowledging some degree of wrongdoing and possibly facing more public criticism. Yet, it also offered a chance to start rebuilding our lives more quickly. In the end, we decided to accept the settlement. It was a pragmatic choice, driven by the need to regain some control over our lives and reduce the ongoing stress. The settlement would provide financial relief and allow us to focus on rebuilding without the constant pressure of legal battles hanging over us. The process of finalizing the settlement was complex and emotionally taxing. We had to navigate through legal negotiations and public disclosures, which added another layer of stress to our already strained lives. Each step was a reminder of the extent of our fall from grace, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter. As we moved forward, we tried to focus on the positive aspects of our decision. The financial relief was a welcome change, and the prospect of putting the legal battles behind us gave us a renewed sense of hope. Lauren and I continued our community work and therapy, slowly rebuilding our relationship and our lives. Despite the ongoing challenges, there was a growing sense of resilience between us. We were learning to cope with the lingering consequences of our actions, finding ways to support each other, and gradually piecing together the fragments of our lives. The ultimate lesson was clear: recovery and redemption are ongoing processes, requiring patience, effort, and unwavering commitment. The road ahead was still fraught with difficulties, but as we faced the future, we did so with a cautious optimism. We had taken significant steps toward healing and rebuilding, and while the journey was far from over, we were determined to move forward together, finding strength in our shared resolve and newfound hope. The settlement marked a turning point, but it was far from a panacea. The financial relief was significant, yet it came with its own set of complications. The media's scrutiny didn't disappear overnight. If anything, the settlement seemed to spark renewed interest. Our story was now a cautionary tale, a dramatic example of a high-stakes scandal gone wrong. Lauren and I were slowly adjusting to our new reality. With the settlement, we were able to begin paying off our debts, though we remained cautious about our spending. The constant pressure of financial instability had lifted somewhat, allowing us to focus on more positive aspects of our lives. Despite the relief, the public eye was still unforgiving, and each step we took seemed to be under the microscope. One day, as we were settling into our new routine, Lauren received an invitation to speak at a local community event. The event was aimed at discussing the impact of scandals and personal recovery. The invitation was both unexpected and intimidating. On one hand, it was an opportunity to address our situation head-on and perhaps find a measure of redemption. On the other hand, it meant stepping back into the spotlight, which we had been trying to avoid. After much discussion, Lauren decided to accept the invitation. The event provided a platform to share our story and contribute to a broader conversation about overcoming adversity. It was an opportunity to speak openly about our experiences, the mistakes we had made, and the lessons we had learned. It was also a chance to begin repairing our public image in a way that felt authentic and meaningful. The night of the event was nerve-wracking. As Lauren took the stage, I could see the weight of the past few months in her eyes. She spoke candidly about our journey, the mistakes, and the struggles we faced. Her honesty was palpable, and the audience's response was mixed but generally supportive. The experience was cathartic for both of us, providing a small sense of closure and a renewed sense of purpose. In the aftermath of the event, we noticed a slight shift in public perception. While we were still the subject of scrutiny, there was a growing sense of understanding. People began to view us less as cautionary figures and more as individuals who had made mistakes and were working hard to make amends. The shift wasn't dramatic, but it was a step in the right direction. As we continued to navigate the complexities of our lives, we found solace in our community work. It became a source of strength and connection. Helping others allowed us to focus on something positive and provided a sense of purpose that had been missing for so long. Lauren and I also made a concerted effort to reconnect with old friends and rebuild relationships that had been strained or lost during the scandal. These efforts were met with varying degrees of success, but each small victory was a reminder of the progress we were making. Despite the challenges, there was a growing sense of hope and renewal in our lives. The road to recovery was still long and fraught with difficulties, but we were learning to navigate it with a sense of resilience and determination. Our experiences had taught us valuable lessons about trust, redemption, and the importance of perseverance. The journey was far from over, but as we faced each day, we did so with a renewed sense of purpose. The scandal had left its mark on our lives, but it had also provided an opportunity for growth and change. The ultimate challenge was to continue moving forward, finding strength in each other, and embracing the lessons learned along the way. Life began to stabilize as the months passed, though the shadow of the scandal lingered. Our daily routine had become somewhat predictable. Lauren's part-time job had evolved into a full-time position, and I had found some stability in consulting work related to crisis management. The financial strain had eased, and our community involvement continued to offer a sense of purpose. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, the doorbell rang. To my surprise, it was Julia, one of Lauren's old friends. She was a beacon of familiarity in the sea of uncertainty. Julia had heard about our struggles and wanted to reconnect. We welcomed her into our home, hoping her visit would provide a much-needed respite from the weight of our daily lives. Julia's visit was a welcome distraction. Over dinner, we caught up on old times and discussed our current situation. Julia's support was unwavering, and her presence brought a sense of normalcy and comfort. She listened attentively as we talked about our ongoing efforts to rebuild our lives, offering encouragement and understanding. As the evening wore on, Julia revealed something unexpected. She had been working on a documentary about individuals who had faced public scandals and sought redemption. She proposed that Lauren and I participate, sharing our story as part of a broader narrative on recovery and transformation. The idea was daunting but intriguing. It offered a chance to further address our past mistakes, contribute to a larger conversation, and potentially find some measure of redemption. Lauren and I discussed the proposal in depth. The documentary could provide a platform for us to share our side of the story more comprehensively and help others who might be facing similar challenges. It was also an opportunity to continue the process of public reconciliation, though it came with the risk of renewed scrutiny. After much deliberation, we agreed to participate. The documentary would be produced with a focus on authenticity and personal growth. We hoped that by sharing our experiences honestly, we could contribute positively to the conversation about overcoming adversity. The production process was both cathartic and challenging. We spent hours being interviewed, reflecting on our journey, and discussing the impact of the scandal on our lives. It was an emotional experience, revisiting painful moments and exploring the lessons we had learned. However, it was also an opportunity to convey our genuine remorse and the strides we had made toward rebuilding our lives. As the documentary began to take shape, we started to receive positive feedback from those involved in its production. The response was cautiously optimistic, and the project seemed to be gaining traction. The process of sharing our story felt like a significant step toward closure, and we hoped it would resonate with viewers and offer some degree of redemption. The release of the documentary was a milestone. It was met with a mixture of reactions from the public and media. Some praised our honesty and the message of hope, while others remained skeptical. The renewed attention brought a new wave of media coverage, but it also sparked meaningful discussions about personal growth and redemption. In the aftermath of the documentary, Lauren and I continued to focus on our recovery. The renewed media scrutiny was challenging, but it also provided a platform for us to advocate for issues related to scandal recovery and personal resilience. We used the opportunity to engage in public speaking and community outreach, furthering our commitment to positive change. The journey of rebuilding our lives was ongoing, but there was a growing sense of accomplishment and hope. We had faced significant challenges, but each step forward was a testament to our resilience and determination. The ultimate lesson was that recovery from a scandal was a continuous process, requiring ongoing effort, self-reflection, and a commitment to personal growth. As we navigated this new phase of our lives, Lauren and I found strength in our shared experiences and the lessons we had learned. The road ahead remained uncertain, but we faced it with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of the complexities of redemption and recovery. The release of the documentary marked a significant chapter in our lives, but it was far from a final resolution. We were now in a period of intense public scrutiny and introspection. The documentary had opened new dialogues about redemption and personal growth, but it also exposed us to renewed criticism and the inevitable backlash. Lauren and I continued to adapt to this new reality. The media coverage fluctuated, sometimes positive, sometimes scathing. We remained committed to our community work and public speaking engagements, using our platform to advocate for others facing similar struggles. Despite the attention, we focused on maintaining our routine and the progress we had made. One day, as we were working through our daily tasks, I received a call from an old colleague, Michael, who was now a prominent journalist. He wanted to meet and discuss an article he was writing about the broader implications of public scandals and their impact on personal and professional lives. He had followed our story closely and believed it was a crucial case study for his piece. Michael's visit was both an opportunity and a challenge. His perspective on our situation was objective, and he sought to explore the deeper ramifications of our experiences. During our conversation, He asked probing questions about the motivations behind our actions, the lessons learned, and the long-term effects on our lives. The interview was intense, forcing us to confront aspects of our journey that we had tried to avoid. Michael's questions were direct and often uncomfortable, pushing us to reflect on the full extent of our mistakes and the process of healing. It was a stark reminder of the complex nature of our situation and the enduring impact of our choices. After the interview, Michael's article was published. It was a comprehensive and thought-provoking piece that examined our story within a larger context of societal and personal redemption. The article received mixed reviews, but it sparked meaningful conversations about the nature of public forgiveness and the challenges of rebuilding trust. Amidst the media frenzy, Lauren and I found solace in our personal lives. We continued to focus on our relationship and the small victories of our daily lives. Our bond had been tested, but we had grown closer through our shared experiences. The support of friends, like Julia, and our continued community involvement provided a sense of stability and purpose. One afternoon, while we were preparing for another community event, Lauren received an unexpected letter. It was from the political opponent involved in the original scandal, expressing a desire to meet and discuss the events of the past. The letter was both shocking and confusing. After all that had transpired, the idea of facing him was unsettling. We debated whether to respond, weighing the potential benefits and risks. Ultimately, we decided to accept the meeting. It was an opportunity to address unresolved issues and perhaps gain a clearer understanding of the impact of our actions. The prospect of closure, even if it was difficult, seemed worth pursuing. The meeting with the opponent was tense and emotionally charged. He expressed his grievances and frustrations, but also acknowledged the personal and professional damage that had been done. The conversation was an exchange of perspectives, and though it didn't offer a complete resolution, it provided some degree of understanding and closure. As we moved forward, the lessons from this encounter became apparent. The process of redemption and healing was not just about repairing our own lives but also about acknowledging the broader impact of our actions. The journey was ongoing, and each step required continued effort, introspection, and growth. Lauren and I emerged from this period with a renewed sense of determination. We remained committed to our personal and professional recovery, using our experiences to advocate for positive change. The road ahead was still uncertain, but we faced it with a deeper understanding of the complexities of redemption and a commitment to moving forward with integrity and resilience. The weeks following the meeting with my former political opponent were filled with a cautious sense of optimism. Lauren and I continued to focus on our community work and personal growth, finding solace in the steady routine we had established. Despite the challenges, there was a growing sense that we were inching closer to a more stable and hopeful future. One afternoon, while I was working from home, Lauren came to me with a new development. She had been approached by a prominent nonprofit organization that wanted her to become an ambassador for their cause. The organization focused on supporting individuals who had faced public scandals and were working toward rebuilding their lives. This opportunity felt like a significant step forward, both for Lauren and for us as a couple. The idea of becoming an ambassador was both exciting and daunting. It represented a chance to channel our experiences into something positive and meaningful, but it also came with its own set of responsibilities and public expectations. Lauren and I discussed the opportunity in detail, weighing the potential benefits and challenges. After careful consideration, Lauren decided to accept the role. It was a bold move, but it aligned with our ongoing commitment to advocacy and community service. The organization provided a platform for Lauren to speak about her journey, share insights, and contribute to a broader dialogue about recovery and redemption. The role also offered a chance to work alongside others who had faced similar challenges, creating a network of support and understanding. Lauren's new role quickly gained traction. She was invited to speak at various events, participate in panel discussions, and contribute to public awareness campaigns. Her involvement brought a renewed focus to our story, and it allowed us to continue advocating for issues we were passionate about. It was a reminder that our experiences, though painful, could be used to inspire and support others. While Lauren thrived in her new role, the demands of public speaking and advocacy began to take a toll on her. The constant exposure and the emotional weight of sharing her story were both exhausting and exhilarating. It became clear that balancing her new responsibilities with our personal life required careful planning and support. Lauren and I made a concerted effort to maintain a sense of normalcy at home. We scheduled regular downtime, focused on our relationship, and found small ways to enjoy life amidst the ongoing public scrutiny. The process of managing her new role and our personal lives was challenging, but it also brought us closer together. We leaned on each other for support and found strength in our shared experiences. One evening, as we were relaxing at home, Lauren received a call from the nonprofit organization. They had been approached by a major media outlet interested in doing a feature on her work and the impact of her advocacy. The opportunity to reach a wider audience was significant, but it also raised concerns about privacy and the potential for renewed scrutiny. Lauren and I discussed the implications of the feature extensively. On one hand, it was a chance to amplify her message and reach more people. On the other hand, it meant more public exposure and the potential for new challenges. After weighing the pros and cons, Lauren decided to move forward with the feature. The media feature was a success, bringing attention to the important work being done by the nonprofit organization and highlighting Lauren's contributions. The response from the public was overwhelmingly positive, and it further established Lauren's role as a prominent advocate for redemption and recovery. As we continued to navigate this new phase of our lives, Lauren and I found a renewed sense of purpose and hope. The journey of rebuilding had not been easy, but it had led us to new opportunities and a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other. We embraced the challenges and the successes, knowing that the ultimate goal was to move forward with integrity, resilience, and a commitment to making a positive impact. The momentum from the media feature had created a fresh wave of public interest and support. Lauren's role as an ambassador was evolving, and with it, our lives had taken on a new rhythm. We were now accustomed to a hectic schedule of events, interviews, and community engagements, all aimed at advancing the cause of personal recovery and public redemption. Despite the positive developments, the challenges of living under constant scrutiny remained. The demands of Lauren's new role were intense, and the visibility of our lives made it difficult to escape the shadow of our past mistakes. We had grown adept at handling the pressure, but it was a delicate balancing act, and there were moments when the strain threatened to become overwhelming. One particularly challenging evening, Lauren returned home after a long day of public appearances. Her exhaustion was palpable, and the emotional weight of her role seemed heavier than usual. We sat together in our living room, the silence between us filled with unspoken concerns. Lauren finally broke the silence. "I'm feeling overwhelmed," she admitted. "I love the work I'm doing, but it's taking a toll on me. I'm constantly in the public eye, and it's hard to keep up the facade of everything being okay." Her vulnerability was a reminder of the human side of our journey, a side that was often overshadowed by the public narrative. I reached out and took her hand, offering silent support. "We've come so far," I said. "We've faced so many challenges and found ways to move forward. We can get through this too." We decided that it was time to take a step back and reassess our approach. Lauren needed time to recharge, and we both recognized the importance of maintaining our well-being amidst the whirlwind of public life. We agreed to temporarily scale back some of her commitments and focus on self-care and family time. During this period of reprieve, we revisited some of the simple pleasures that had brought us joy before the scandal took over our lives. We spent quiet evenings at home, took long walks in the park, and enjoyed leisurely meals together. It was a reminder of the life we had before everything changed, and it helped us reconnect on a deeper level. The break also provided an opportunity for reflection. We used the time to review our progress, consider our future goals, and discuss how we wanted to continue our advocacy work. It was a moment of clarity, allowing us to redefine our priorities and set new, achievable objectives. As Lauren resumed her ambassadorial duties, she did so with a renewed sense of purpose and a healthier perspective. The temporary break had been a much-needed respite, and she approached her role with a fresh outlook. Our family life also benefited from the renewed focus on balance and self-care. One day, as we were planning for an upcoming community event, Lauren received a heartfelt letter from someone who had been directly impacted by her advocacy. The letter was from a young woman who had faced public scandal and was now finding hope and support through the nonprofit organization. Reading the letter was a powerful reminder of the positive impact of Lauren's work and the difference it made in people's lives. The letter also reinforced our commitment to continue advocating for personal recovery and redemption. The journey had been arduous, but it had led us to a place of understanding, growth, and meaningful contribution. We were reminded that despite the challenges, the work we were doing had real and tangible effects on others. As we moved forward, Lauren and I remained dedicated to maintaining the balance between public and private life. We embraced the challenges and celebrated the successes, knowing that each step was part of a larger journey. The path of recovery was ongoing, and while it was filled with ups and downs, we faced it with resilience, hope, and a deep appreciation for the progress we had made. The renewed balance in our lives provided a fresh perspective, but the journey of rebuilding was far from complete. As Lauren continued her role as an ambassador, we were faced with new opportunities and challenges that tested our resilience in different ways. One day, while Lauren was attending a high-profile charity gala, I received an unexpected phone call from an investigator named Adam. He was conducting a follow-up on the original scandal, particularly focusing on the discrepancies and false evidence that had been part of the scandal's fallout. His investigation had uncovered new leads that could potentially revisit old accusations and complicate our current status. Adam's revelations were alarming. He explained that although the fabricated documents had been debunked, there were still lingering questions about who had orchestrated the deceit and why. The investigation had led to new suspects, some of whom had connections to our past. The potential for reopening old wounds was daunting, and it cast a shadow over the progress we had made. Lauren and I had to navigate this development carefully. We sought legal advice and decided to cooperate with Adam's investigation, understanding that transparency was crucial to maintaining our integrity. The process involved hours of interviews, reviewing old documents, and providing any additional information that might help clarify the situation. Throughout the investigation, the pressure mounted. The media picked up on the renewed interest in our case, leading to a fresh wave of speculation and scrutiny. Our privacy was once again compromised, and the stability we had worked so hard to achieve was threatened. Despite our efforts to stay focused on our advocacy work, the stress began to take its toll. Lauren's resilience was tested more than ever. She faced public inquiries with the same strength she had shown throughout her advocacy, but the emotional strain was evident. We found solace in each other, leaning on our shared experiences and commitment to moving forward. The challenges of the investigation only reinforced our determination to emerge from the situation with our integrity intact. One evening, after a particularly intense day of interviews and media coverage, Lauren and I had a heart-to-heart conversation. We discussed the impact of the ongoing investigation on our lives and our future. It was a moment of vulnerability and mutual support, as we reassured each other of our commitment to navigating this new challenge together. As the investigation progressed, we began to see some positive developments. Adam's thorough work led to the identification of key players involved in the original deception, including some who were not previously known. This revelation was a crucial step toward understanding the full scope of the scandal and holding those responsible accountable. The investigation's findings eventually led to a formal apology from the political opponent who had been involved in the orchestrated deception. The apology, while not entirely resolving the past issues, provided a measure of closure and acknowledgement of the wrongs that had been committed. It was a significant moment in our journey, validating our efforts to uncover the truth and seek justice. With the investigation concluding, Lauren and I were able to refocus on our lives and advocacy work. The experience had been exhausting and fraught with uncertainty, but it reinforced our commitment to integrity and transparency. We continued to build on the progress we had made, using our platform to advocate for personal growth and resilience. The road to recovery was ongoing, but we faced it with renewed determination and a deeper understanding of the complexities of our journey. Each challenge we faced became a stepping stone toward greater resilience and a more profound commitment to our shared goals. As we moved forward, we embraced the lessons learned and the strength gained from navigating the difficult times. Our focus remained on the positive impact we could make and the progress we had achieved. Despite the setbacks and ongoing scrutiny, we were committed to continuing our advocacy and building a future defined by integrity and purpose. As the dust from the investigation began to settle, Lauren and I were determined to reclaim our sense of normalcy and continue our journey of recovery. The renewed attention had tested our resilience, but it also highlighted our growth and the importance of staying true to our values. We decided to embark on a new project that would allow us to channel our experiences into something constructive. Inspired by the positive impact of Lauren's advocacy work, we began planning a series of workshops aimed at helping individuals navigate the challenges of personal and public redemption. The workshops would provide practical tools, emotional support, and a platform for sharing experiences. The preparation for the workshops was an exciting and fulfilling process. We reached out to experts in various fields, including psychology, media relations, and personal development, to collaborate on the program. The goal was to create a comprehensive and supportive environment for participants, offering them guidance and hope as they worked through their own struggles. The first workshop was held at a community center, and the response was overwhelming. Participants from diverse backgrounds came together to share their stories and seek advice. The atmosphere was one of mutual respect and understanding, and it was clear that the workshops provided a much-needed space for healing and growth. Lauren and I facilitated the sessions, sharing our experiences and offering practical advice based on our journey. The workshops became a platform for open dialogue, allowing participants to explore their own challenges and gain insights from others who had faced similar situations. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, with many participants expressing gratitude for the support and resources provided. As the workshops continued, we saw tangible results. Participants reported increased confidence, improved coping strategies, and a renewed sense of purpose. The success of the program validated our efforts and reinforced our commitment to helping others navigate the complexities of personal and public redemption. Despite the positive impact of the workshops, Lauren and I faced ongoing challenges. The scrutiny from the media had not completely dissipated, and we continued to manage the delicate balance between our public roles and private lives. However, the sense of purpose and the positive feedback from the workshops provided a source of strength and motivation. One day, as we were preparing for an upcoming workshop, Lauren received an invitation to speak at a national conference on personal resilience. The opportunity was a significant milestone, offering a broader platform to share our message and reach a wider audience. It was a chance to highlight the success of the workshops and advocate for the importance of support systems in personal recovery. The conference was a pivotal moment in our journey. Lauren's speech was met with enthusiastic applause, and the response from attendees was overwhelmingly positive. The conference provided an opportunity to connect with other advocates and professionals in the field, further expanding our network and influence. Following the conference, the workshops gained even more recognition, and we were approached by several organizations interested in collaborating. The growing interest in our program was a testament to the need for support and the effectiveness of our approach. As we continued to build on the success of the workshops and the conference, Lauren and I remained focused on our core values. We were committed to providing support and guidance to others while maintaining our own well-being and personal growth. The journey of recovery was ongoing, but each step forward brought us closer to a future defined by resilience and positive impact. The road ahead was filled with both opportunities and challenges, but we faced it with a renewed sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the progress we had made. Our commitment to helping others and our dedication to personal growth continued to guide us as we navigated the complexities of our journey. Through the workshops and advocacy work, we were able to turn our experiences into a source of strength and inspiration, creating a meaningful and lasting impact on those we sought to help. The workshops continued to flourish, and our impact on the community grew more pronounced. As we settled into this new phase of our lives, Lauren and I began to reflect on the long-term implications of our journey. Our focus had shifted from merely navigating public redemption to actively shaping a legacy that would endure beyond our immediate experiences. One evening, after a particularly successful workshop, Lauren and I sat down with a sense of accomplishment and contemplation. We discussed the possibility of expanding our efforts to include a book that would encapsulate our experiences, insights, and the lessons learned throughout our tumultuous journey. The idea of writing a book was both thrilling and daunting, but it felt like a natural next step. We began the process of outlining the book, focusing on how to structure our narrative in a way that would be engaging and insightful for readers. Our goal was to share our story authentically while providing practical advice and inspiration for those facing their own challenges. The book would serve as a guide for personal growth and resilience, drawing on the experiences and strategies that had helped us rebuild our lives. The writing process was intense and deeply personal. We spent hours working on the manuscript, revisiting painful memories and reflecting on our journey with honesty and vulnerability. The act of writing became a form of therapy, allowing us to process our experiences in a new way and gain further clarity about our path forward. As we wrote, we incorporated feedback from trusted friends and colleagues who had been part of our journey. Their perspectives added depth and nuance to our narrative, enriching the content and ensuring that our message resonated with a broader audience. The collaborative effort was both gratifying and essential in shaping a book that would be both impactful and authentic. Throughout the process, we continued to engage with our community through the workshops and public speaking engagements. The response to our book project was overwhelmingly positive, with many expressing eagerness to read about our experiences and the lessons we had learned. The anticipation built as we neared the completion of the manuscript. Finally, the day came when we completed the first draft of the book. It was a moment of triumph and relief, marking the culmination of months of hard work and reflection. We submitted the manuscript to publishers, and after several rounds of revisions and edits, the book was ready for publication. The launch of the book was a significant milestone in our journey. We organized a series of events, including book signings, readings, and interviews, to promote the release. The media coverage was extensive, and the book quickly gained traction, reaching readers who found solace and inspiration in our story. The book's success was a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of sharing one's experiences. It provided a platform for deeper conversations about personal growth and redemption, and it opened new doors for advocacy and support. Lauren and I were grateful for the opportunity to reach a wider audience and contribute to the ongoing dialogue about overcoming adversity. As we moved forward, the book became a cornerstone of our advocacy work. It complemented our workshops and public speaking engagements, creating a cohesive message about the power of personal transformation and the importance of support systems. The feedback from readers and participants continued to inspire us, reinforcing our commitment to making a positive impact. Lauren and I remained dedicated to our mission, continually seeking ways to expand our reach and deepen our influence. The journey of recovery was ongoing, but with each new endeavor, we felt more equipped to face the future with hope and determination. Our experiences had shaped us, and through our work, we were able to turn those experiences into a source of strength and inspiration for others. The path ahead was filled with promise and possibilities. We approached each new challenge with the same resilience that had guided us through our most difficult moments, confident in our ability to continue making a meaningful difference. The legacy we were building was grounded in our shared commitment to personal growth, integrity, and the unwavering belief in the power of redemption.